carbohydrate silently wreaks havoc on your body more than sugar ever could. Today, we're uncovering a hidden culprit lurking in everyday foods, one that spikes your blood sugar, triggers fat storage, and quietly damages your organs. It's not sugar, it's not the carbs you recognize, yet it's in almost everything processed. The scary truth, most people consume tens of pounds of it every year without knowing it. Think about this. Your body's blood sugar surges not from candies alone, but from an ingredient labeled as safe or zero sugar. How does that even make sense? This is industrial starch, not the potato on your plate or the starch in vegetables, but a highly refined, modified version created in labs. It masquerades as harmless bulk in foods, but behaves like a blood sugar bomb. Let's break it down. Starch is essentially a chain of sugar molecules. Natural starches in potatoes or corn have protective layers, slowing digestion. But industrial starch? Those protective layers are stripped away, leaving fragile, easily digestible chains. When you eat it, your body converts it into sugar almost instantly, faster than glucose itself. And why is this so dangerous? Rapid spikes in blood sugar force your pancreas to produce insulin at unnatural levels. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and even fatty liver. But it's not just about sugar. This carb encourages visceral fat, the kind that wraps around your organs, quietly sabotaging your health. It disturbs the balance of your gut microbiome, feeding harmful bacteria while starving beneficial ones. Inflammation spreads not just in your joints, but deep in your gut lining. Ever worried about your bad cholesterol, the LDL particles that burrow into your arteries? Industrial starch contributes to this stealthy process as well, creating the perfect storm for heart disease. So why isn't this more widely discussed? Perhaps because it's cheap, heavily subsidized, and incredibly profitable for the food industry. A 25-pound bag costs less than $5, and taxpayers end up funding its distribution. It has no health benefits. It's really just a filler designed to bulk up processed foods and improve texture. Yet, the average person consumes anywhere between 65 and 250 pounds of it every year. That adds up to billions of pounds produced worldwide every year. You'll find it in gluten-free foods, baby formulas, breads, baked goods, and even in products marketed for athletes. The label might not scream danger, but modified food starch, cornstarch, and maltodextrin are all part of this industrial family. Now, you may wonder, isn't starch just starch? There's a big difference. Natural starches, like in your grandmother's potato dish, break down slowly. Industrial starch is mechanically ground, bleached, and chemically altered. It's stripped of fiber and protective nutrients, leaving it to behave more like refined sugar once consumed. Even bread, cereals, crackers, pasta, and fries contain high proportions of industrial starch. Combined with seed oils and sugar, they create what nutrition experts call a toxic soup. This combination is, honestly, particularly harmful to your tissues and metabolic health. For instance, potato chips are about 65% starch and 30% seed oil. Popular crackers, they're around 70% starch and 25% seed oils. And breakfast cereals, often 80% starch, with sugar and oils layered in. Have you ever read a label closely enough to see how much of your food is industrial starch? Most people don't. Even organic snacks often have the same problem: refined starch plus oils. I noticed recently that some packaged meats, like hot dogs, include modified food starch as their third ingredient. Why? Well, it's a filler to add bulk while keeping costs low. Does this fit the definition of food? Something meant to nourish, repair, and sustain life? Not really. Consider ultra-processed foods. Three main ingredients dominate: sugar, industrial starch, and seed oils. Sugar often makes up 5 to 20%, oils 20 to 35%, and starches a whopping 55 to 75% of the calories. That means the majority of what many people eat is this refined starch, quietly overwhelming their metabolism. And here's something even more concerning. Children and teenagers consume massive amounts of ultra-processed foods. Young kids get 65% of calories from these products, including over 50 pounds of industrial starch annually. Teenagers, about 70% of their calories, over 100 pounds of this refined carb. These numbers are conservative estimates. Real intake may be even higher because most people underestimate their processed food consumption. But the real danger isn't just in how quickly this starch converts to sugar. There's a hidden chemical story behind its processing. Chemicals that impact your kidneys, bones, arteries, and possibly even your DNA. That's where the next part gets shocking. Now that we understand how industrial starch spikes blood sugar and fuels fat, let's dive into the hidden chemicals used to create it, and why they might silently harm your body. Alright, so first up is sodium tripolyphosphate, which is, often used to modify starch texture. Studies have suggested that it might stress the kidneys and, accelerate calcium buildup in the arteries. Next we have vinyl acetate, a chemical that's classified as a possible carcinogen, and then there's sodium hypochlorite, which you might know better as bleach. While it's regulated in water supplies, its use in food starch is, well, largely self-regulated, making the long-term health effects quite uncertain. Overexposure can unfortunately damage the kidneys, mouth tissues, and even enamel. And here's one more for you. There are chemicals widely found in infant formulas and beverages, and excess intake could impair mitochondrial function. This is crucial, you see, for energy production at the cellular level. Can something considered generally recognized as safe really be safe when, no long-term studies exist? Look at this example. A product with 16 grams total carbs, 1 gram fiber, and 0 grams sugar. So what remains? 15 grams of unlisted industrial starch, quietly adding to your metabolic burden. These starches are everywhere. Modified cornstarch, wheat starch, maltodextrin. They clog arteries, disrupt insulin function, and contribute to Alzheimer's-related plaques in the brain. And your liver? The fibrosis risk rises. And there's another hidden danger. Aldehydes, byproducts of glucose breakdown. One is similar to what's used in embalming, another mimics the toxic compound that causes hangovers. Alone, they're concerning, but combine them with seed oils and sugar under heat, and they form a toxic metabolic soup. Most people don't eat starch by itself. It's interesting when you think about it. Potato chips, crackers, French fries, pasta, and even breads, they're all packed with high starch and seed oil combinations. Take chips for example, they're about 65 to 70% starch. And how about crackers? They're 70% starch and 25% seed oils. Breakfast cereals, those can be up to 80% starch. And let's not forget French fries, which are 80% starch and 15% seed oils. It's everywhere, isn't it? So, does this sound familiar when you take a look in your pantry? You might think you're avoiding sugar, but you could still be consuming dangerous starches on a daily basis. Even organic or so-called health foods aren't exempt from this. It's a bit of a wake-up call, isn't it? For instance, let's talk about ultra-processed foods like hot dogs. They often list modified starch as an ingredient. It's cheap, adds bulk, and hides in plain sight. Meanwhile, the combination of starch, sugar, and seed oils, well, that's what's driving metabolic disease epidemics worldwide. It's a significant issue that we need to pay attention to. Ultra-processed foods are, roughly made up of about 5 to 20% sugar, 20 to 35% seed oils, and 55 to 75% starches. This breakdown really helps explain why chronic illnesses like type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, and heart disease are rising at such alarming rates. And honestly, children and teens are the most affected. Young kids, for example, get about 65% of their calories from ultra-processed foods, while teenagers get close to 70%. And when you look at industrial starch intake, we're talking about tens to over 100 pounds per year. It's wild, and these numbers are actually conservative. The combined effect of starch, oils, and sugar is, well, pretty devastating. We're seeing artery plaque formation, insulin resistance, fatty liver, chronic inflammation, and even Alzheimer's-related brain changes. And let's not forget how all this affects your gut. Industrial starch actually feeds harmful microbes while starving the good bacteria, which leaves your digestion and immunity, really compromised. Here's a practical solution. I created a free app to scan barcodes of processed foods. It visually shows sugar, starch, and oil content, helping you make informed choices in your pantry and at the grocery store. Adults consume 55% of calories from ultra-processed foods. Children and teens consume even more. Industrial starch dominates their diet, silently driving metabolic and inflammatory disorders. From diabetes to cardiovascular disease, liver scarring, and cognitive decline, the evidence is clear. Starch isn't just a filler, it's a major player in chronic health issues. But the good news: awareness is the first step. Once you can identify industrial starch, you can start making changes, choosing natural starches, whole foods, and meals with minimal processing. So, let's talk about some simple swaps you can make. Instead of refined crackers, try reaching for nuts and seeds. Cook real potatoes rather than using instant mash. Choose whole grains over white breads, and do your best to avoid packaged snacks where starch is the main ingredient. These changes might seem small, but honestly, they can make a big difference in your overall health. These changes won't just stabilize your blood sugar, they also reduce visceral fat, support gut microbes, and lower chronic inflammation. Over time, you're actually protecting your heart, your liver, and your brain. So, next time you reach for that packaged snack or so-called health bar, take a moment to read the ingredients. Ask yourself, is this food nourishing me, or is it quietly harming me? Use tools like barcode scanners and, ingredient knowledge to really regain control. Awareness leads to better choices, and ultimately, a healthier life. In the next episode, we'll explore how seed oils and starch interact under heat, forming compounds far more damaging than you can imagine, and what you can do immediately to stop them. If you found this helpful, like this video and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more insights on hidden health hazards in everyday food.